the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is the highest level of competition in the country when it comes to truck and tractor pulling. And with 11 events completed, there's only 6 events left. And that brings us to one of the most important stops on the tour, the Indianapolis Super Pull. Right now, it's Bill Leischner looking for his 5th championship in the Super Mods. But Scott Tedder and the Bunnage family are right there behind. And the Unlimited Super Stockers, it's been Neil and Bud Gettinger who has dominated the class. The Indy Super Pull is next. Don't you go anywhere. It's time to sling some dirt.
Tractor pulling, the ultimate test of power. Purpose-built vehicles create thousands of horsepower using turbos and superchargers, alcohol fuel, and multi-engine configurations to see who can pull the farthest. A sled weighing thousands of pounds is used to stop the pulling vehicles. A moving weight box progressively adds resistance to end the run. The sled is customized for classes ranging from customized farm tractors to multi-engine modifieds. Teams spend countless hours preparing their machines for competition. Thousands of dollars are spent traveling to events across 10 states, maximizing power and repairing broken parts. The season is long, and the competitors have to maintain focus every pull to compete for a class championship. This is Tractor Pulling with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League.
Welcome to Indianapolis, Indiana, the motorsports capital of the world. Of course, known for the Indianapolis 500 and the Brickyard, but this weekend, it's all about the Speedco Indy Super Pull presented by AirDog. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Ken Stout and Leslie Mears here to call all the action for you. As the series progresses along, we are getting down to the nitty-gritty of it. If you're going to make a run for the championship, you better get after it now, especially in the Unlimited Super Stockers. Of course, the mods are in the house. We have to talk about the top players there. And in the Unlimited Super Stockers, Crash Gladys, it is Neil Gettinger who owns it.
Well, guys, like you said, coming up in this show is the Unlimited Superstock class, but right now it's the crowd favorite, the super modified tractors. We're talking 10,000 horsepower on these beautiful tractors, completely modified from anything you are familiar with on anybody's farm. We're talking 60,000 pounds that they're pulling at the start line, up to 240,000 pounds of moving weight up at the finish line. This is what the crowd pays the big bucks to see, and well, this is what the drivers pay the big bucks to just go play with.
All right, let's go back and take a look at what happened at Goshen, Indiana. Scott Tedder and the Mr. Twister finally got that breakout win, and they are in the hunt for this championship.
Of course, just took the lead narrowly by 2 points over Bill Leischner. And of course, you can't forget about the Bunnages and Takes a Lickin' and Joe Ader's 75th edition, who are now tied for 3rd coming into the Indy Super Bowl.
There's a look at the points courtesy of Speedco Truck Lube and Tires, and this one will go right down to the wire as it does every year.
Of course, you've got to talk about Ricky Long and that Lucas Oil MAV TV vehicle. We'll see him in the 4th position, making his way down the track tonight. And you got to watch out for these guys, because even though they're rookies, you know, they are seasoned veterans out there on the track, and they do always try something a little bit different than everybody else to try to take an edge.
When you talk about the super modified class, you have to talk about the 4-time champ. Bill Leischner is here, and a little earlier today, Crash Gladys caught up with him.
Well, guys, first hook today at the Indianapolis Super Bowl is your multi-time champion, Bill Leischner. And Bill, I got to think that this is not the position you'd want to be in, pulling first when you're in a championship battle.
It certainly wouldn't be my choice, but we'll have to make the best of it. At least we are under the option. If I don't like the hook, I can, drop it, drop 6, go to last. If the track official doesn't like it, they can change the sled. So there's a lot of ifs out here.
Well, and the track may come around. It may be better by the end of the run. So if you were to drop it, you'd be happy to be at the end.
I personally think it'll dry out and get a little better, as long as it doesn't dry out and get hard. I think it'll get better after about 5 or 6 tractors, but we'll just have to see what happens.
You know, Ken, that's the interesting part of this. This is afternoon pulling, but the track seems to be a little bit more unpredictable. Plus, you've got to factor in the 2 inches of rain that came in early this morning. It's going to make a difference here on this man-made track.
Bill wants to show well here. His sponsors, Speedco, are located just about 30 minutes outside of Indianapolis, so all the big dogs are in the house as far as he's concerned, and of course this pull alone is very prestigious.
Oh, he gets a nice hole shot there on that good, clean, dry dirt that they had covered earlier in the day, so it didn't get soaked by all that rain.
Looks like it pulls him back to the left a little bit. A very solid effort here at 3:33 and 92, and that makes it very tough for the officials because they know Bill is good enough to drag one out there, but did he drag it too far? They have to be wondering now, should we reset the sled or let it stand?
Absolutely. Another factor they have to take into account here, the track is freshly prepared, it's freshly groomed, and sometimes in an afternoon setting, that very first hook gets the best pieces of the track. And you can see here what you're talking about, Ken, getting pulled off to the left side of the track. Now, another reason that could be, it could be the fact that it hooks up hard about the center of the track. Like I said, the track was covered up through all that rain, so you've got a wet spot at the end of the track so that the bars on the bottom of the sled can dig in, but you've got drier track at the beginning so that these guys can get a really good hole shot.
So Bill Leishner puts a big number on the board. We'll find out what the officials have to say when we come back. We've just gotten things warmed up here at the Indy Super Bowl.
Lucas Oil Pro Clean League is brought to you by General Tire. Unleash the fury. E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn. And by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Pure Flow Air Dog, your leader in diesel fuel pumps.
Welcome back to Indianapolis as the Supermods are in progress here at the Speedco Indy Super Bowl presented by Air Dog. Bill Leishner right out of the gate, 3:33 and change, 3:33 and 92 actually. So he has certainly set a tall mark to beat here for the rest of the class.
But of course, coming up now, the defending champion Stan Shelton with his shell-shocked machine. And he's yet to get up there and get that initial win that he's been seeking so far this year. He said after last year, was trying to be consistent all year. He wanted to come out and he wanted to take some chances and he wanted to win some hooks. And, he took a lot of chances this year, but he's still looking for that elusive first win.
Almost the same results there as he got down about mid-track, and then the tractor wandered off to the left. 3:06 and 29 isn't the mark that he was looking for, but it has to make the officials feel a little bit better that they have the sled set pretty close to right.
Well, here's the thing, Bill Leishner just must be set on kill here today to try to take the lead back in that points chase. And as you can see, the center of the track must be where that groove is, and that's where those big 30.5-inch tires want to go.
Now keep in mind, these guys do have open differentials, so the rear wheels are spinning at different speeds. A packed house here once again as expected for the Indy Super Bowl, but what that allows the tractor to do is wander off to the left or to the right. They are not positive traction rear ends.
Well, and they also have independent brakes as well. And, so if the tractor starts to wander off to the left, these guys are holding down the right brake to try to get that left tire to hook up a little harder and to bring it back around. And, these guys say that, they don't tap the brakes. They stand on them because they're making so much horsepower. And so in order to get it to straighten up down the track, they really got to stand on them.
A look at our first turbine-powered tractor, and not a good effort here right off the bat. You can see that thing never really got up on the tire, meaning he really never got that wheel speed in the back. When those guys launch the turbines, they are wide open. It's all it has, and they've got to be spinning the tire, get up on top of this dirt, kind of dig in a bit at the same time. That one looks like it actually got too much grip and started hopping and releasing, and it cost him everything.
And, problems started early there for Ron Bargy on the judge. As you can see, as he just started to leave the line, as soon as those tires squatted, it immediately started to bounce back and forth. And, of course, he's talking to his brother Derek there, who'll be driving the Apache a little bit later on to try to figure out exactly what happened so they can straighten out those issues.
Make sure you check us out online at propulling.com. You can also like us on Facebook, and we'd love to hear from you via Twitter as well at ProPulling. We continue on here, and we talked about the rookies doing well here coming out of the two-wheel drive modified category. You mentioned Stan Shelton a year ago. It was his rookie season, his first full season in this category, and he won the championship. Now it's Ricky Long who's coming out of the same category, and they're finding success as well. Is he going to win the championship? My guess is no. I really think that was kind of a freak of nature thing. Bill Leishner stumbled a little bit last year. We saw Joe Ader come in and make a charge at it towards the end of the year. There were some things that happened that worked out for Stan Shelton, but I think that as we watch the Long family come in here and see the success out of the two-wheel drive category, it certainly is screaming that there's a pattern here.
Absolutely. And, you know, Ricky Long finds himself comfortably in 5th place. There's not really any guys that can catch him there in that mark. Now, he's not going to be able to make that charge. He's way too far out of the points race to contend for the title. However, you know, they are going to be in there, and they are going to kind of shake things up for everybody else because you never know where they're going to end up. They've had several top 5 finishes this year, and they're going to take a stab at it here on the left side of the track.
Yeah, several top 5s, including 2 top 3s. He lined up on the left side of the track and aims the tractor off towards the right. It did pull back to the left a little bit, but not the number he was looking for. 278.94 is going to be well short of our leaders here today.
When you know, it's interesting that they do kind of take this gamble, and they can do that because, like I said, they're comfortably in 5th place, and they're looking for some fresh dirt. They're looking for a good piece of ground out there that they can hook up to and extend that distance and try to get out there with Bill Leishner. You know, instead they fall just a little bit short, but sometimes you've got to take that gamble just to see how it'll work out.
I couldn't agree more. Great point action out here at the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League at the Indy Super Bowl. Stay with us. We'll be back with more. There's a look at your Air Dog. Top 3. Bill Leishner leads the group.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source.
All right, we're back here in Indianapolis for the Speedco Indy Super Bowl presented by Air Dog. And one of the bad boys in the class is Joe Ader. He's back and he's chasing a championship. Crash spoke with him earlier today.
Well, guys, points are at a premium because we do only have a few hooks left, and points are kind of not going in the direction you would like. What's going on here, Joe?
Just we're getting by. We're doing okay. The tracks are marginal this year. You know, it's tough with Mother Nature builds pulling tracks, and we're getting a lot of dry ones, and actually we're getting some rain now, and now the moisture's coming around. We're missing the setup a little bit. We're really close. We went out of bounds last week in Evansville. That hurt us, but 4 others went out of bounds too, so it joined the club. You know, we all got last place points, so I kind of felt good coming out of there, like, wow, you know, 4 of us got last place points. So, but you know, it's we got 5 hooks to go. There's a chance we can catch up, but no more screw ups. We got to keep moving.
And of course, the important name that he's not mentioning that went out of bounds at that last hook is Steve Bunnage and takes a licking, and that allowed them to remain tied for that 3rd place position coming into this event.
Yeah, it's not over by any means, especially with the size of these fields. I mean, the points can change pretty quickly if you have a bad effort. And he said 5 pulls left. He doesn't want to forget this one, including this one here at Indy. It is 6 pulls left, so this championship is far from over. Slowly feeds the power to that monster. Joe, one of the best in the business, a 4-time champion. And much like we saw Bill Leishner and the earlier pulls, this one too goes off to the left, 307.54, and that'll get him out there just enough to take over 2nd place.
When you can see right off the line, he's really struggling to keep it from going to the left side of the track. You can see his arms are bent way over the steering wheel, trying to make sure that he can do anything he can when those front tires come down to steer it back to the right. He wants to stay away from that left sideline over there, and he just can't do it.
Yeah, another DQ because you go out of bounds will certainly end any shot at it. He manages to keep it in bounds. You can see that thing reared up right there as it unloads on the left side, digs on the right side, and turns the nose of it to the left. So he was battling that thing as the previous guys have been as well.
When he's right where he needs to be right now, he's sitting in 2nd. The only thing that he can do right now is stand back, watch everybody else, keep his fingers crossed that he can remain right there and that Steve Bunnage and that takes a lick and doesn't surpass him. But we'll have to deal with the full pull mark set by John Mears.
Well, we've now set a full pull line in the Supermod class. What is the full pull mark here?
320 feet. We've got a lot of heavy hitters. Bill Leichner was first with that Speedco tractor, made a real nice run. It's going to depend on where they spot the sled at, I think. There's some guys that can come out and probably make a full pull here, I'm pretty sure.
We've seen a lot of guys turning to the left. Any particular reason?
Inconsistencies in the track. From the moisture earlier today, it was really hard to get it blended together properly, but they're making a heck of a show right now.
So we'll find out how things shake down as the Bunnage family starts up the tractor called Takes a Lickin', and this is also a championship. When they come to Indianapolis, it's one of the reasons they're a championship contender. They seem to have a love affair with this place, and they've had a lot of success along the way. There was a number of years that the Tour did not come here to Indianapolis, but since we've made our return, these guys have been on the podium.
We won the last 2 years here, and it feels good. I mean, to win the Super Bowl and stuff. Our luck ain't been the best, but we did get a good run at Goshen this year. I mean, we never done good at Goshen our whole life up there. We ended up getting second. So, I mean, maybe everything works out right, maybe we can end up winning Indy again, but it would be nice to, there ain't too many people that's won it 2 or 3 times in a row, and I'd like to try it 3. I mean, it'd be something different to have a carrot that you can say you've done it 3 times in a row. But two's pretty good. I mean, if you can win it 2 years in a row, it ain't too bad.
Well, they need to recover from that bad hook at Evansville, Indiana. Of course, a great finish at Goshen where they finished second, but they did make some changes before this event.
Last year to this year, we changed tires. Weave's even heavier, and the tires are hooking so hard, we can't keep enough weight on the front. We've made brackets this weekend to take the boxes off the back to put more weight on the front. So, but the flagman said, he said, as soon as we moved the throttle, he said the front end came up instantly. He said it's like a reaction. He said it just hooked right out of the hose. So I'm hoping the weight on the back and with the weight boxes off and put more on the front, maybe we can control it, and maybe the track won't be as good as Evansville, and we keep the front end low. We keep the front end low, we can run real hard with it.
It is a difficult thing to do to find that sweet spot, that little window that makes it all work. Good news for him is he doesn't have to go past Bill Leichner at 3:33 here. He just has to get out past the full pole mark at 3:20.
And of course, making those extra brackets and moving that 300 pounds of movable weight they have on the 1,700-pound machine makes a huge difference.
And he does what he has to do to keep those hopes alive of having a three-peat. 3:25 and 62 is well past the full pole mark. We will have a pull-off here. 2 tractors are out.
When he does a better job than everyone else of keeping it on that right sideline the longest, and that's what helped extend his distance. The track still pulled him over to the left side, and he was on the brakes the whole time.
Everybody's chasing this big win at the Indy Super Bowl. There's a look at your Air Dog top 3.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Canada Natural Pet Foods, healthy, natural nutrition for your pets.
Welcome back to the Speedco Indy Super Bowl presented by Air Dog. Scott Tedder is definitely raising his game. He spoke with Crash Gladys a little bit earlier today because he has a new addition to the tractor as they acquire information.
Well, guys, after back-to-back wins in the Supermod class, your new points leader is Scott Tedder. And can you chalk up some of this recent success this year to the new computer system that you have on board?
Yeah, we finally got a weather station, and it's really helped out quite a bit. And it's helped me tune the motors more efficiently, and things are just rolling smoother. I'm able to read the barometer, the humidity, and the temperature, and then I use that information to use another computer to tell me what to do. And it gives me more confidence. I'm not, wetting my finger and sticking it in the air and figuring things out that way like I used to. And I still could do that, but this is much better.
It is critical to get these things to run properly and in unison as Mr. Twister lights up the back tire. Trying to get out there and join the pull-off. Is he going to get it done? And he lays up a bit short of where he needs to be at 292 and 64. And I'll tell you, he's in the hunt here for this championship. He really needed to get out.
Absolutely, and this effort here, it looks good off the start, but again, he has problems getting the front end off the ground. And when the Bunny just talked about you got to get the front end up, but you got to keep it down, they're talking about you want to keep it 12 to 14 inches off the ground, and that's going to give you that perfect position position where all your weight's going to go into the rear tires. But you can see the box is coming up fast, and as soon as the box tops off on the sled, it immediately pulls these guys off to the left-hand side when those 240,000 pounds of rolling weight hit the back of the tractor.
And you can see him shaking his head. He is frustrated, to say the least. He knows that he's well short of the mark that he needed here today to keep up and stay in this hunt for the championship. You cannot afford to give away anything. The crowd here, of course, loves tractor and truck pulling in Indianapolis. This is the great Midwest. It's loaded with farmers, and all the kids around here love what they do as well. I mean, they've got hot rod trucks everywhere you look around here when it comes to diesel power. They are definitely in the game. All right, next up, the Apache will hook up to the Sled as the Bargy family tries to win it here.
And of course, they took a huge win this year earlier in Fairfield, Illinois, and that's kind of like the midpoint of the points chase right there. So that gave them a lot of momentum, coming into the second half of the season, because these guys have really been battling. They've been having a lot of engine trouble, and they've even done a lot of testing and tuning, which takes a lot of time and effort at their own place to try to get this tractor straightened out.
Seems like you need a ton of horsepower here at this track today, and that particular machine might be down just a tick when it comes to horsepower. 263 and 32 might have missed the mark as far as movable weight as well. That one is well short.
And of course, these guys trying something different as well. They're trying to put the Apache right in the center of the track, and what they're looking for out there is they're looking for a better hole shot. You've got these big 30.5-inch tires, and you release, 10,000, horsepower on them, and they're digging into the ground, and that kind of digs a rut right there in the starting line. So they've got to drive out of that hole to try to find a spot where they can hook up. They move over in the center. They're looking for a clean piece of dirt where they can get it hooked up.
Well, take a look at this tractor. It is new on the tour. The Sullivan family is not new, but this tractor is, and it is a work of art. Talk about a beautiful machine.
You gotta love the old school look of the Kentuckian out there with that big Massey Harris or Massey Ferguson front end on it.
Oh, way over there by the left out of bounds mark. Does stand on the brake to keep it in bounds, but it cost him a lot of distance in the process at 261 and 91.
And of course, you're checking out our E3 Spark Plugs leaderboard there. And of course, Bill Leichner, Steve Bunnage at the top of the heap. They will be going to the pull-off. A great day here for Joe Ader, though. He'll finish in third and try to keep his hold on third place going into the next event.
When we come back, we'll find out who's going to win the Super Modified Tractor category as we contest the pull-off.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Speedco Truck Lube and Tires, built for speed, staffed for quality, delivering world-class value.
It's just about time for the pull-off here at the Speedco Indy Super Pull presented by Air Dog. Let's get it down to Crash Gladys, who's with Big John, to find out more on the sled changes.
John Mears, since we do have a pull-off situation now, have you made any changes to the sled?
Yeah, in this pull-off for tonight, or for today only, we're going to just pull the trip back about a foot. So, right here is where it was in the first round. We pulled it back about 8 inches, 10 inches. That's probably going to take about 10 or 15 feet away from their distances. So the pan's going to drop a little sooner for them today.
And what he talks about moving that trip is it means that the box is going to travel up the rails of the sled faster. And so once the weight in the box gets up those rails and it starts to push down on the pan sooner, it's going to make it harder for these guys to pull it as they go down the track.
Bill Leichner and the Speedco back machine will hook up to the sled first here in our 2-tractor pull-off.
And of course, these guys have some tough decisions to make to decide if they're going to make changes or not. Crash has more on Leichner.
Well, Leslie, I just spoke with Shannon Leichner, and I asked him, what did you change on Bill's tractor from the first run to now? And he said, absolutely nothing. We felt our first run was great. We feel the track is still pretty decent, and we've got still a very fresh set of tires. We think it's going to hook up and be just as good as we did the first time.
Well, the first time was certainly a good one. Best of the day so far at 333 and 92. Take a look at the size of that hook. You don't want to get your finger in there.
It's about the size of a dinner plate, and it weighs somewhere between 25 and 35 pounds.
It is a massive hook. Needless to say, they need a lot of strength back there when they're tugging with 10,000 horsepower. We'll find out how he does here, and there's some grip at this place, so they'll have the cleats dug in with those massive rear tires. The front end dangling nicely. Bill Leichner is off and looking for the end of this track. And it pulls those motors down as those Grouser bars dig in from that pan. 3:03 and 36 is a solid effort here, though.
And of course, you've got to think that Shannon and Bill Leishner watched them move that trip on the box. They knew that they were going to need a lot of horsepower. They had a great setup the first time around. And Bill does a really good job, too, of keeping it from going as far left as it did the first time. Got a lot of good control on the machine and kept it going perfectly straight.
And I noticed that when he was hooked up to the sled at the beginning of the pull, it looked like the tractor was sitting just a little bit lower to the left-hand side, would lead me to believe that the left rear tire was a little lower in air pressure as he tries to set that thing up to go straight when he gets down to the middle of the track and everybody else has been wandering off to the left. That's what the veterans do. They pay attention to every single hook, every pull, and then they make those adjustments, especially if they can come back here in the pull-off. Well, another one of those seasoned veterans is hooking up to the sled now, and Crash, you spoke to him a little bit earlier. What do they feel like this track is going to do, and what adjustments have they made?
Guys, I just got done talking to Wayne Bunnage, and he was telling me he thinks the track is actually getting worse now. But he expects Steve and the tractor to actually come out of the hole a little bit easier. Steve was telling me in his first hook today that he had to really mash on the throttle in order to keep the weight down in the front end. This time around, it's going to be a lot easier drive. It's actually going to drive exactly the way it's supposed to.
Everything looks good on paper.
Absolutely. And, here's the interesting thing. The Bunnages have this magic blue notebook. And what it does is it holds all their data from years past. So you know that, they're going back to their cheat sheets there. They're going back to their data from the Indy Super Bowl where it looks really, really good because they got those 2 wins under their belt already.
Can they make it 3 in a row? Looking for the hat trick here at the Speedco Indy Super Bowl. He's slinging some dirt way off by the left-hand line, and he's going to steal it. He does it. He makes it 3 in a row at 3:11 and 44. That is amazing.
Well, and here's the interesting part about it. He doesn't just do it. He does it with authority. Starts in the center of the track, gets off to a great start, and look at that front end coming up. That's exactly what he needed to do. He's mashing that brake as the mud flap takes out the leader cone over there and still beats Bill Leishner by 8 feet. That is impressive.
I mean, you wouldn't call that a pretty pull, but given the fact that it won, it was gorgeous.
Well, guys, second place. Some people say second is the first loser. Bill, no, you're pretty happy with second place right now.
We're pretty happy to get second. I'd like to have a better shot at first. Made a good first pass, made that number 1 work, come back. They didn't float it, but Bunny's just made a nice hook. We lost the throttle bracket about probably 30, 40 foot from the end, and we'd have been right there with them. It'd have been interesting if that had worked, but we got the Speedco Dirt Slinger down there and just happy to put on a show for the people.
Boy, that is a nice twist right there as we take a look at the Speedco points. Just 4 points separating the top 2 with 5 poles to go.
Crash had a chance to catch up with the Bunnages.
Well, guys, this makes 3 in a row. 3 Indy wins for the Bunnage family, and you guys are making this look easy, Steve.
No, we didn't make it look easy this year. We had to make 2 runs at, and it was more difficult this year than the last 2 years, that's for sure.
You told me you were going to come out of the hole a little bit easier on that pull-off. Did that happen?
Yes, I came out harder first time to break tires loose. That way it wouldn't raise the front end as much. If the track got away, I came out easier and felt the hook longer and got on it smoother, and it made a better run.
But Wayne, like he said, the track was going away, and because of that, you're just calculating different setups in your head. That had to be a little bit stressful.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot of different scenarios, and I talked to him, and I said, this could happen, this could happen. I said, you're going to have to think about it, and I said, it's going to do this. If it does, you better be ready for it. So everything worked out right.
They did an awesome job. If it's horsepower you love, don't go away. The alcohol-fed unlimited super stockers are up next. Can anybody stop the Gettyners?
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Pack Racing Springs, manufacturer of racing valve springs and suspension springs, available at racingsprings.com.
The track has been prepped for our next class here at the Speedco Indy Super Bowl presented by Air Dog, and the next class up is the Unlimited Super Stockers. It's always a very exciting class. The fans love it because it looks like a regular farm tractor, but everything has been converted over to alcohol. They make massive amounts of horsepower, and we have a shocker going on this year. Neil Gettiner and his son Bud have both done a great job. In fact, how about 9 top 3s, including 5 wins. That is all but unheard of in this class. It is Crash that spoke with them earlier. Can they continue on with the domination?
Well, guys, Neil Gettinger, the points leader in Unlimited Superstock, who has been on such a roll, 4 wins in a row. What has helped you have such great numbers recently?
Well, we just had good setups. We've been lucky too. We've had good draws good numbers. Hooked last a couple times, which worked out. Here we're hooking first today. We'll just have to see how it goes.
First can sometimes be a not so lucky position, though. What are your thoughts starting first today?
Well, at least I have options. If I don't like the first run, I can turn it down.
Well, he's done a great job, needless to say, and he has 4 in a row working coming into this event as we take a look at our Speedco points.
And of course, 32 points back in a category like this. Frank Keener has a lot of catching up to do, and that means that he needs for Neil Gettinger right here to make some mistakes.
11 pulls in the books. One of those is a rain out. So when you take a look at the 5 wins of the 10 that are left, that is amazing. 50% of the wins going to this tractor here. I don't know that I've ever heard of that happening.
Well, and the other unique thing about this situation, too, is that we're sharing driving duties here as well. Usually you have one pilot in the seat for the entire season, and he doesn't normally get that many wins. But when you've got 2 different pilots and they're consistently driving the same and pulling off the same amount of victories, that's just quite unheard of here.
The only time he wasn't on the podium was Freeport. 9 out of the 10 polls that we've had, he has been in the top 3, or I should say they have been in the top 3, as you're talking about multiple drivers. Take a look at that beautiful case. Red versus green is on in this category, and the Gettingers are the first to hook to the sled.
You know, it's unique, too, that these guys have been able to come on so strong. The first time they even drove an alcohol tractor was one time in 2010. They piloted the tractor all last season, but before that, they had been diesel super stock pullers for over 30 years. And to come into the alcohol category and dominate like this so early is amazing.
He's wandering off to the right just a little bit. He's going to have to get in that left side brake and bring it back. He does so, but not without covering 299 and 91 feet first. That is a good one out of the box. I'm really curious to find out if he'll keep it or turn it down, though.
And you know, it's interesting here, too, with the big tires, you would think that these Unlimited Superstock tractors would react the same way that the Modifieds did, but they're not. These guys wandering off to the right side instead of the left side of the track.
Effort there out of Neil, so he has set the mark to beat at 299 and 91 as we take a look at our Geico running order. Dwayne Keener, another solid tractor here in the category, will be up next in the Bambi, and Bambi has also been up on that podium this year, including a win and 2 second-place finishes, so 3 times in the top 3 for the Keeners.
And of course, the Keeners have the advantage here as being the only team tractors in the group. Of course, they can't transfer a lot of information, though, because, of course, Dwayne has the Bambi, which is a John Deere, and, of course, his son Frank has the XXX machine, which is an International. However, they can relate to each other how well the vehicle is hooking up to the track. And, you know, I've got to wonder what's left on the starting line down there after those mods have just punished it. You guys are going to see these guys walk it off the starting line quite a bit to try to find a clean place to hook up. And hook up he does.
Well, unfortunately, did not get out there where he needed to, as he'll lay up way short at 278 and 79. Maybe he hooked up too much, and it pulled the power down out of that thing.
But of course, the front end launches really high, really early out here, and that's exactly what you don't want to do. You want to bring the front end up 12 to 14 inches, stabilize it at that position so it doesn't detract distance off your run. Every time that front end touches the ground, you're going to lose somewhere between 15 to 20 feet off your final distance.
Yeah, that front end bouncing up and down. The easiest way to understand it is when the front end comes up, it's hooked up. When it's going back down, he has lost traction at that particular point, and he has to regroup it all again. So maybe a little more weight on the nose would have made things a bit better. but nonetheless, he will not be in the hunt for the win here today.
Even though he won't be in the hunt for the win, he'll give the XXX machine a good chance to be in that hunt because they know about weight placement on the machine after that run there by Bambi. And of course, a lot of uniquely painted vehicles here in the category to go along with the interesting personalities of their drivers. And of course, these guys aren't full-time pullers. They have full-time jobs at home, and they just come out here to play. Crash is catching up with one of those guys.
Well, guys, talking with, well, I should say first-time driver here in the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. So far, so good?
Yes, so far, so good. It's our first time here at the Indy Super Pole, and it's a real nice facility. We came in about 4:30 this morning and had some torrential downpours, and the trailer was shaking with the weather and the wind blowing, and we thought for sure we weren't going to be able to pull today, but looks like the track's in pretty decent shape for as much rain as we got. I can't believe it, actually, but it should be a good pull for everybody here today.
Something unique about you. You are a cop in your full-time job. How can you get me out of my speeding tickets, please?
Well, I prefer I'm more of a civil employee. However, speeding tickets, if you get one yourself, I'm sorry. There's not a whole lot of hope I can do for you on that one.
How do you balance being a cop and then coming out to pull in your spare time? You probably don't have much spare time.
It's not. It's a full-time job, both doing this and we farm as well, and working in the city. It's quite a balancing act, doing all three in the summertime.
I'll tell you what he told me. He said the easiest way to get out of a speeding ticket is to don't speed. That's how you get that one done, unfortunately. Fully loaded. I'll tell you, he kicked off the season in the right direction as he picked up our first win on the tour here. The tractor called Fully Loaded, of course, in John Deere green.
And right away, the tractor having a hard time getting it hooked up as it one wheels back and forth on the rear tires.
268 and 54, again, well short of our leader's mark at 299. And once again, of course, this is what the fans really love as well. We talked about red versus green. It's kind of like Ford versus Chevrolet when it comes to drag racing. And the fans out here are very knowledgeable, especially here in the Midwest, and they definitely have their preference for red or green. We saw that actually at Goshen, as of course the case called Lesson Learned, driven by Neil Gettinger, came out as the last tractor on the hook, and up until that point it was a John Deere that was leading. He came out with the red tractor and won it, and the place erupted in a huge round of applause. Up next, taking care of business, another tough customer here, Joe Kwiatkowski, the driver, and has been in the top three just one time, but he's always a threat, and he also campaigns two different tractors.
Well, the interesting thing here about Joe K is he's kind of coming back to the PPL Champions Tour circuit. He's taking some time off for some health reasons, and we're just glad to have a wily veteran like him back out on the circuit.
And nobody has gone any straighter than that effort right there. 291 feet will be solid and good enough to take over second place. There's a look at your Air Dog top three. We're in the Unlimited Superstock class.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League has been brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn. Speedco Truck Lube and Tires, built for speed, stacked for quality, delivering world-class value. And by General Tire, unleash the fury. The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League has been brought to you by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
Welcome back to the Speedco Indy Super Bowl presented by Air Dog as we are in our Unlimited Superstock category. We'll hook up our next competitor once again, a red tractor coming out here trying to make some noise.
Standing here with Frank Keener, and we've been talking a little bit about some gremlins. Hey, they creep in. It's just part of motorsports. It's part of pulling. What changes have you made since your last event to hopefully get those gremlins out of here?
Well, we've done a lot of change, and we've been having a little bit of a rough time here lately. We went home and made a lot of changes. We changed tires. We put a completely different set of tires on. Been having trouble with going straight, staying in bounds. Our last event, we went out of bounds. Kind of really hurt us in this points race deal. Reworked our total brake system on the right-hand tire. We've been having trouble with that. Motor hasn't been performing quite up to par. Put all new rings and sleeves in the motor, freshened it up a little bit. Changed some timings around a little bit on the motor, and hopefully she's going to perform a whole lot better now.
And this is a guy that's pounding around the top 3 in the points, second in the points, in fact, and he just went through all that. And needless to say, the Gettingers are getting after these guys. They are all stepping up their game to try and knock him off that top spot.
Well, it's amazing because you're talking about 12 to 14 hours worth of work just to get ready for this one event, to try to make sure they've got the horsepower they need to catch up.
The front end up and down, bobbling hard, but a solid effort here. Not quite enough to take over the lead, but is good enough for second place at 295.06.
And by the way that they unloaded and loaded those tires up again, you got to know that the Triple X is wicked up. It is hot and ready to load. Just look at this wild ride it takes Frank Keener on here. If he could only have kept that front end balance, he would have inched right past Neil Gettinger.
Yeah, it's easy to say as we sit back here and watch. I do agree with you. I mean, I think if he had that weight placement perfect, he had a shot at taking the lead here today. And that has to be a comforting feeling, knowing that the changes that they made to this tractor definitely helped it out, as the crowd once again here just having a great time. Well, if you talk about passionate people in this sport, they don't come any more than this guy here, a 2-time champion in the category, and Jeff Hurt loves truck and tractor pulling.
When he loves it so much, he's even trying to bring another unlimited super stock out into the series. You know, he's kind of been battling it all year and trying to get it ready here for our next event coming up in Hillsboro, Wisconsin. You know, just hasn't been able to do it. But, you know, I think that that's kind of distracted from his season here just a little bit. You know, usually you see him start out a little bit slow, and then he usually comes on really hard and strong at the middle of the season. And that's what he's done the last 2 years when he's won the points championship. This year, he's done the same thing. He picked up a win, he picked up 2 second-place finishes, but he just got off to such a nasty start at the beginning of the season that he's having a hard time catching up.
The All-American Running Bear. Oh, and something breaks on it right away. If he lays up short of 100 feet and it's not terminal, he could have a shot at coming back, and he is short of 100 feet at 96, so he does have an opportunity to come back, but whatever it was, that one shut off quick. And matter of fact, the left rear tire did not launch right away with the right one.
And you can see immediately he knows that there's some kind of severe problem out there. And yeah, he's taken off his fire suit. He knows it's done. It must be some kind of terminal problem out there. I'm going to say it's probably an issue inside of the turbo. Jeff Hurt runs one of the most unique turbo setups out there. Of course, 3 top chargers feeding into that very, very large bottom charger. And anytime you have an issue with airflow, you're going to have some problems getting your machine to run.
You can check us out online at propulling.com. You can like us on Facebook or hit us up on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you as we continue on here. This is Aaron Hull. Out of Time is the name of the tractor, and he's been in the top 3 on 2 occasions so far this season. Front end way up in the air as it unloads those back tires. Once again, hops back and forth. Again, not the perfect setup here as he comes out here and tries to take over the lead, but he's not going to get it done. 280 and 56. That means our winner once again is the Gettingers. Congratulations, 299 and 91, win number 6 on the season. What an amazing run out of them. Let's get it back down to Crash, who's with our winner.
We are now 5 wins in a row for Neil Gettinger, and you say it's not really just one thing that's clicking, it's a bunch of things?
Well, that's right. I mean, we've had good numbers, and today we were first hook, and we watched the class in front of us, and we adjusted the tractor accordingly, and it worked out. We took the first pull, and it held up.
And the first pull is always that gambling position, so it worked out today for you.
Well, that's right. At least you have an option if you mess up the first pull, and we hit it close enough. We kept it, and it just worked out.
So are we going to be seeing 6 at our next round?
Well, we'll try for it.
Congratulations.
All right. Hey, I want to thank Mac Trailer, my wife Luann, and my whole family. My family is what this is all about, and they make it worthwhile.
It's a great group of people as we take a look at the points here from Speedco. He's won from the front, he's won from the back. Bottom line is he has a tractor to beat here this season. Let's get it back down to Crash.
Guys, guys, gremlins be gone. This is good. Second place at Indy. Congratulations.
Yeah, second place is great. You know, that Gettinger tractor, they're awful tough. We're having a hard time catching up with them. We're getting closer tonight. I think all of our changes are kind of paying off, and we're getting a little bit closer to them now.
About time, right?
Yeah, we've been having a pretty good year. We kind of fell off the wagon there for a few hooks and not done so well, but I think we're getting back on track now again.
The next time you see us here, we'll bring you a couple of exciting categories, including the Super Farm category. Everybody loves that, especially here in the Midwest. And the wheel-standing, two-wheel drive super modified trucks. If you like blowers and loud noise, we'll have plenty of horsepower. For Crash Gladys and Leslie Mears, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League.